If you love horror stories, real-life mysteries, and supernatural events, then this channel is for you. Subscribe to the channel now and enjoy chilling paranormal stories. At the beginning of the incident, let me tell you, this incident has two parts. Part 1 is about our village house in Kajipara, village of Shailkupa municipality in Janida district. Around 2006 to 7, we lived in Dhaka with our family. Suddenly, we received news from our village house that my cousin was very sick. At that time, I was very young, so hearing about his illness made me feel bad. But since my father didn't have any leave, none of us could go to the village. Later, when we went to the village with our family, we found out that my cousin was supposedly possessed by a jinn. Since it was a ghost story, I was eager to listen because I had always loved hearing ghost stories since childhood. Our village has a garden right beside the road, and within that garden is our family graveyard. Previously, people used to feel uneasy passing by the garden, which we later came to know about. There was an atta, custard apple tree beside one of the graves. One afternoon, my two cousins, Rakib and Harun, along with Harun's elder sister Roxana, went to pick atta from that tree. Harun had always been a very restless person since childhood, so he climbed the tree while the other two stood below. As Harun was picking atta, he suddenly noticed two extremely thin branches, and on each branch sat a woman with very long hair, smiling at them. Seeing this, he got so scared that he jumped off the tree and ran straight to the house. Seeing his abnormal run, the other two also ran back home. After reaching home, Harun didn't say anything to anyone, but later that afternoon, or just before evening, he developed a high fever, and his body was so hot that no one could touch him. That night, he started speaking incoherent words. His words were like, "Mom, look." Microbuses, motorcycles, airplanes, all are flying together in the sky. Then he went to my aunt and asked for food. My aunt gave him rice with lentils, but he got very angry and shouted, "I asked you for food, and you gave me insect water to eat?" Everyone thought he was talking nonsense because of the high fever. The next morning, before dawn, he suddenly got up from sleep and ran at full speed, jumping into a pond near the house. One of my uncles saw this and somehow managed to pull him out. My grandmother was a very religious woman, and she understood these things. She said that Harun was possessed by a jinn. Then a religious scholar, Huzur, was called, and after performing many rituals, he was able to summon the jinn. He asked them, "Why are you harming this boy like this? Why did you come to him?" The jinn replied, "When he climbed the atta tree and started picking atta, he saw the two female jinns. When he jumped off the tree in fear, the branch on which they were sitting broke. That's why they wanted to kill him." Despite many efforts, the jinn could not be removed from Harun, and his condition kept worsening. Then my aunts learned about an old woman who could help, so they took him to her. The old woman explained everything and, after seeing my brother, said, "I can fix everything, but you must sacrifice a goat at the Shahi Mosque." Let me mention that the Shahi Mosque in our area is very ancient and has many stories surrounding it. Many people believe that any vow made there never goes unfulfilled, which is why people from far and wide come here daily. My uncle and aunt agreed to the condition and told the old woman they just wanted their son to recover. The old woman tried different methods and eventually cured my brother. She also made sure that the two jinns could never return to him. Since my uncle's financial condition was a little bad, there was a slight delay in sacrificing the goat. But during that time, my aunt frequently saw the old woman in her dreams. The old woman would say, "You still haven't sacrificed the goat. Your son will suffer great harm. When that happens, you won't be able to do anything." After seeing this dream twice, they sacrificed the goat according to the rules. Alhamdulillah, after that, my brother never faced any problems again. Part 2. Now let's come to the second incident. At that time, I was 17 years old. With time, we had moved to our village house. Our grandfather had many trees in his garden. One day, our grandfather suddenly decided to cut down and sell that otter tree. He made this decision on his own. Later, when we all found out, we tried to stop him from cutting down the tree. But who listens to whom? In the end, my grandfather ignored everyone and cut down the tree to sell it. For a few days, everything was fine. Suddenly, we heard that my grandfather had seen those two jinns in his dreams. They told him, "You have completely destroyed our home. We won't kill you immediately, but we will make you suffer slowly." A few days later, one night, there was light rain, which we call drizzle. That night, around 11 p.m., my grandfather was walking to the market. When he reached in front of our village mosque, he noticed a few veiled women walking inside the mosque and staring at him. He took this as a normal thing and kept walking. After walking a little further, he stepped on a spot where a little water had accumulated on the road. The moment he stepped there, he fell down. The people nearby thought he would get up on his own, but he couldn't stand up at all. Then everyone gathered to help him, but he was unable to stand. Someone from home called and said, "Grandfather fell on the road and can't get up." Hearing this, we all rushed him to the hospital. After doing an X-ray, we found that his right leg was completely fractured and detached from below the hip. His leg has not healed yet. Slowly, my grandfather started losing all sense of awareness. He began behaving badly with everyone and saying things that didn't suit his age. Little by little, he started going mad. Please pray for my grandfather. Give a like to the video, let us know how you felt in the comments, and feel free to share any suggestions. If you have a story you'd like to share with us, please write it down and send it to our email address, ghostsredeye@gmail.com.